Well, it does look like the people of Canada are pretty much sick of having Justin the tacky-headed, tar-faced, swift-foot Mackdaddy Trudeau as their head of government, the son of Satan himself. We see that more and more each day, and it's gotten so bad that he even had to go to Mississauga in a bulletproof vest. I mean, Mississauga was Mackdaddy country up until it looks like now. It still could be, and I'm not saying he's going to necessarily lose this election. In fact, I think he could very much win. But for him to go to Mississauga in a bulletproof vest because he thinks that someone's going to shoot him up tells you something. Most Canadians are sick of the son of Satan. Most Canadians are sick of having a pimp as their head of government. Most Canadians are sick of being shacked and shafted by the pimp himself, Justin the Tacky-Head and Mackdaddy Trudeau. I told you he was a pimp from 2015. I told you he was a pimp even before that. Nobody wanted to listen to me. Everybody was acting arrogant. You got him in there. He pimped the environmentalists. He pimped everybody out. He's pimped out this whole nation. And he's continuing to do it. You know, just the other day we see that he wears blackface. So he's pimped out the politically correct crowd. So he's nothing but a pimp. He's nothing but a shifter, shifty, swift-foot Mackdaddy, the son of Satan. People are even trying to kill him now. And I'm not advocating any violence or anything. I think that's counterproductive. You don't want to make the son of Satan a martyr. You know, if you kill the Mackdaddy, you'll make him a martyr. You know, the devil's army crucified Jesus. They crucified Jesus. And now he's one of the greatest martyrs who ever lived. He's a martyr. And whether you believe he's the son of God or not, all people will admit he is a martyr. Even the Muslims will say he's a martyr. We don't want to make the son of Satan a martyr. We made the son of God a martyr, and and yay and amen for that, and boom shakalaka. Do not make the son of Satan a martyr by crucifying him or shooting him out there in the streets, because that's what's going to happen. John F. Kennedy was one of the most unpopular presidents before he was assassinated. And when Lee Harvey Oswald, or probably, you know, the military-industrial complex, when they assassinated JFK, he's now one of the most popular presidents in history. I don't want the son of Satan to go down in the history books as one of the greatest prime ministers just because he was killed. So don't kill him. Let him kill himself, figuratively speaking. And that's exactly what he's doing. But he could still win. But that just goes to show where we are right now. You know, in his own backyard, Mississauga, all of the counties or the constituencies in Mississauga voted for Justin the Tacky-Head and Mackdaddy Trudeau. They voted for him in large numbers in 2015. And he has to wear bulletproof vests out there like he's in Afghanistan or Iraq or Syria or Israel or Palestine. I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, you don't see Sheer going out there in any bulletproof vest. You don't see anybody out there in bulletproof vests except Justin the Tacky-Head and Mackdaddy Trudeau. I mean, that just goes to show where he is. But my message to people is no, don't kill him. Don't kill the Mackdaddy with your own hands. Do not take God's work and put it in your own hands. Don't do it. You'll go to hell for that. Never mind jail. I'm not worried about no jail. The police, I'm not saying individual police. I'm saying the system, the police system as a whole is run by the Mackdaddy's government. So I'm not worried about that. They don't put fear. The Mackdaddy's government, the Mackdaddy's stormtroopers, his squadron, his foot soldiers, they don't worry me. But I worry about God. God says, don't put my work in your hands. You're doing his work, and he doesn't like it. So whoever this person is who wanted to shoot the Mackdaddy, you are trying to do God's work, and he doesn't appreciate it. He doesn't appreciate it. You're trying to be God. God will deal with the Mackdaddy. God will deal with the son of Satan. God will deal with him, and he's dealing with him right now. And even if he wins, which he probably will, even if he wins, that doesn't mean anything. I've told you this. Canucks, your vote doesn't matter. God's vote is what matters. He has dismissed the Mackdaddy a long time ago. And he's just going to put him in fact, you're probably doing him a favor by not voting for him, because the more he wrecks this country, from up on his throne, the more damage he does to himself. Might as well leave while you still can, while you still have some chance at redemption, which is not very little. There's very little redemption for the son of Satan. It really is. I mean, this is one of the worst ones I've ever seen. Even his own people don't want it. But don't put the law into your own hands. Now, you all know where I stand on this whole election. I think this election is a pitiful election. None of these parties deserve a majority. Scheer doesn't deserve a majority. Singh doesn't deserve a majority. May doesn't deserve a majority. Bernier definitely doesn't deserve a majority. And Black Quebecois couldn't get a majority anyway. But I've said that I want a conservative minority. This is my endorsement as an independent. All right? This is my endorsement as an independent. A conservative minority. But I also endorse the Black Quebecois winning the most seats in Quebec by a large portion. And it looks like they're going to do it too. I want Maxime Bernier to win in his own seat. But with the Bloc and Maxime Bernier holding the balance of power, not the NDP, not the Greens with the Liberals. That would be a disaster. I want the conservative Andrew Scheer to have to bow down to the Bloc and bow down to the PPC. You all have been asking me, why you like the Bloc so much? I like them because they're nationalists. I like them because, and I've told people this, Quebec is my second favorite province. It really is. They're national. Yeah, they vote liberally, do all those, but you know what? First of all, I think a lot of Quebecers need to understand who is on their side and who isn't. You know, the Quebecers, they're the only province in this whole country who will take their identity seriously, the culture seriously, their language seriously, and I respect that 100%. I respect Bill 21 as well, telling people, hey, this is a secular culture we live in. This is Western secularism. You ain't gonna come to work in a government job wearing no religious things on your head. And they don't just target Christians, which is also what I like. They target all the religions equally. You notice all the Muslims and the Jews jumping up and down in Montreal saying how Legault is so racist, the premier of Quebec. I say that he is one of the fairest premiers out there. Because you notice, you know, when we in Canada, Christians in Canada, it is legal for a company to fire a Christian for saying Merry Christmas if that company doesn't want their employees saying Merry Christmas. It's legal for that company to do that. Legal. Now, a company tries to fire a Muslim for wearing stuff on his head or a Sikh for wearing stuff on his head. You know how many bricks will be thrown through that company's window? You know how many Al Sharptons and Jesse Jacksons and Louis Farrakhan's, Louis Farrakhan, I have to say I respect him. I don't care what you white folk think about it. He's one of the most misunderstood people in history. One day I'll do a video on him to tell you how misunderstood he is. He's one of the most misunderstood people. But regardless, all those kind of people would go marching up on that company. So I say, if the Christians are allowed to be fired from their private jobs for saying Merry Christmas, then I say that, yes, let's stop Muslims and Sikhs and Jews from wearing stuff on their head when they work at a government job. It's the most fair thing I've ever seen. So I agree with that. And Quebec is the only province that would be so bold to do something like that. Alberta wouldn't do something. Alberta's only interested in money and oil. That's it. Money and oil. If money and oil told them to send people to concentration camps and create collective farms, they would do that in 2 seconds. And that's not honor. If money and oil told them to forsake their province, forsake their culture, forsake their language, all of that stuff, they would do it in 2 seconds. I like people who stand up for their country, who stand up for their region, who stand up for their language, all that different stuff. I'm not saying I support Quebec separatism, but, if that comes to it, you know what? Maybe that would be for the best, especially if Trudeau wins again. If the Mackdaddy wins again, then I advocate for Quebec separatism, Western separatism, Ontario separatism, and maritime separatism. Let the whole country collapse. Let it collapse. Y'all deserve it if that's what happens. But going back to the topic at hand, people, do not try and take this Mackdaddy on by yourself. Don't do it. I'm ordering you as your commander-in-chief. Don't do it. You're doing God's work. Not because of police, not because he's the prime minister, not because of any of that. I'm not interested in him. He's the son of Satan. But because you're doing God's work, don't do it. God doesn't want you to do his work. He will decide what the fate of the son of Satan is. I'm telling you this. He will decide. You killing the Mackdaddy, you're not only doing God's work, but you're turning him into a martyr. As I said about JFK, he was on track to being one of the most unpopular presidents in history. You look at historical approval ratings of JFK. People in Texas didn't like him. One of them were just a bunch of racist white rednecks, of course, because he wanted to give black people civil rights and all this sort of stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that he deserved to be unpopular. I think JFK was probably one of the best Democrats, the last great Democrat to ever be president of the United States. But he was unpopular. The moment whoever it was put that bullet in his head, he's now a martyr in America, one of the greatest presidents who ever lived, according to Americans. So don't do that. Don't let the Mackdaddy go through that. And if you destroy the Mackdaddy, I guarantee you he's got heirs. He's got heirs. And they're ready to take up his position. And if you were to kill him, his heirs would rise up and they would win. And they would win even more than he won in 2015. It's counterproductive doing that to the Mackdaddy, Justin attacking Mackdaddy Trudeau. Don't do it. And this is the Arana Nation.